I've made a lot of mistakes over the years homesteading. Most of them didn't come from bad advice. They came from advice that sounded right at the time. And that's really the kind you got to watch out for, because the advice that sounds right is usually the hardest to question. And sometimes it's also the most expensive to follow. Today, I want to walk you through a few pieces of homesteading advice that sound smart, sound practical, and even reasonable, but don't always hold up once you're actually living the life. One of the most common pieces of advice is this: start with what you love. If you love goats, get goats. If you love cows, get a bunch of cows. If you love gardening, plant a huge garden. And it all sounds reasonable. You should enjoy what you're doing, right? But what you love is usually the visible part of homesteading. Not the fencing, not the watering system, not the feed storage, not the shelter or your layout or daily routine. It's the critters. And animals don't wait for you to figure this all out. They need care every single day. If I were giving advice now, I'd say this instead. Start with your infrastructure. Start with your systems. Start with the boring stuff. Because once the system's in place, what you love becomes sustainable. Here's another piece of advice I hear all the time. You can learn as you go. And yes, experience matters. Nobody starts out knowing everything. But here's the problem. Some lessons are cheap, and other lessons are very expensive. You can learn as you go, say, for tomato spacing. You cannot always learn as you go with permanent fencing, well placement, barn layouts, stocking rates, or even breeding decisions. Some mistakes take years to unwind. Some cost thousands of dollars, and some cost you time you'll never get back. Learning as you go works best when the consequences are small. When the decisions are permanent, slowing down before committing is always the wiser move. And there's a difference between willing to learn and willing to do your research. I'm curious, what's one piece of wisdom you followed that didn't turn out exactly as you anticipated? Let me know in the comments. And by the way, I do read every one of them. Here's another one. Buy land and you'll be secure. Look, land feels solid. It's tangible. It gives you room and lots of options. And on paper, that certainly looks like independence. But land by itself doesn't create security. Security comes from what you can actually do on that land. And of course, from the skills that you bring to it. From the systems you build, and from whether the numbers work. Land without those things is just simple property. I've seen people stretch themselves so thin just to own acreage. In the end, they're overextended and constantly stressed. That is not security. Land can absolutely be part of a secure life, but it isn't automatic. Look, it doesn't fence itself, it doesn't plant itself, it doesn't pay the bills. Security comes from what you build on that land, not just the land itself. And finally, there's this one. Homesteading will simplify your life. This one kind of makes me laugh sometimes. But really, in some ways, it really does, because you get to focus on real things. You spend more time outside, and you certainly care less about noise. But simple and easy, that's not exactly the same thing. Homesteading removes certain complexities, but it replaces them with responsibility. Instead of meetings, you have weather. Instead of deadlines, you have seasons. And instead of depending on services, everything depends on you. There is no off switch. If someone thinks homesteading reduces responsibility, trust me, they're going to feel very overwhelmed. But if they understand it shifts responsibility, then they're prepared. None of the advice you get from people is evil. Everybody's trying to help. And that's what makes it tricky. Everything sounds right, but homesteading doesn't reward what sounds right. It rewards what's sustainable and actual results. If you're building this kind of life, question everything, even the advice that sounds obvious. Slow down. Think long term. Build systems before you build dreams, because this life can feel incredibly rewarding, but only if it's built on something solid. From all of us here at Possum Ridge Farms, until next time, I'll see you down at the barn.